All right, so while I'm waiting for the, hope I get pop-up or notification when we go live. All right, so while waiting for that, what we have done so far, okay, what we have done so far is we have looked at, like a very large spectrum of things that we could do on things that we could do using the Node.js. And today, what we want to look at is we want to look at deployment. Okay, we want to look at deployment, and one is how to deploy, and two, we want to look at how to document. Okay, how to make documents available, because you're going to need to do that, or make it available to the front-end team, for example, of what you have implemented. Okay, so that's that. So once we're live, I'll get into the business of that.
I think he has gone live.
Okay. All right, great. All right. So good evening, or whatever time of the day is, to everyone, wherever you are. Once again, my name is Benjamin, and I would like to share my screen. All right, great, we're live. So let me try to share my screen. All right. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Second, I'm trying to allow myself to be able to share my screen. So while this is coming up, I want to apologize for how long it's taken to have this last class. Okay, so today what we want to do is we want to look at sorry, Mr. Ikings, please, I'll need to end Zoom and start again, because the system will allow me share my screen until I end and start again. So can we end and start this meeting again in the next 1 minute? Okay, in the next 1 minute. Let me just leave and join again in the next 1 minute. Okay, so all right, I'm back. So once again, I think I can share my screen now. All is good to go. So yes, so let me get straight to business. Great. All right, so once again, you guys are all welcome. I apologize for not being able to bring us to like this class see at the end of the class. So today we're going to try to quickly wrap up of all things we ought to have done by now. And once again, my name is Benjamin Ifinidu, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of what we have done so far. So I had some like technical challenges with my system, and I had to like wait to get another one, and with that, come back to this class because it was a bit of a challenge getting it fixed. So we have looked at so many things, and the videos are out there. Okay, so the videos are out there, things you can look over. So what I'm just going to do is right now I didn't like store most of the things we did on the class. I didn't store them on GitHub, so I'll just have to use just a sample project I use for demo purposes. So I'm going to use this. So I'm just going to explain basically what the project has. And right now, it's not so much about what the project has. It's just about like getting things done. So here we have just a controller. And what this project is about, let me see if I have a definition and readme. So what this project is about is it's just a job list. Okay, it's a job list in the NodeJS REST API. And I didn't use TypeScript for this. Let me just put this back. I didn't use TypeScript for this. I use more Node.js. This is not the one with TypeScript. So let me just wipe this off and use Node.js. All right. So and basically it has like some of the like some features that are here, some of the packages that are here, bcrypt, crypt users password, cookie passer.env, express, joy, JSON web token, mongoose, malta, and I think I took out ngrok. That's just for testing live endpoints. And yeah, so it has like a couple of features and things like that. And it's an old project. Okay, so it's an old project. So right now that's just basically that. So here we have the basic endpoints, which let's see, index. Okay, so in the index we have basic endpoints. Let me see if I can increase the font size a bit. Okay, it's looking funny in my eyes, but fine. Yeah, so here we have basic endpoints, just express, chorus, cookie parser, and then the basic endpoints from here, job, account, employee. So here, what you can do with this is, let me just start off the service and we test into Postman. So in Postman, we get to see what we need. So I think I can use this. I think I can. Okay, I think I can. Let me kill this. Let me kill this. Let me reduce the size of the screen since you can awful in my eyes. Okay, so I don't really know what's wrong with I don't really know what's wrong with well, I don't know. It seems like every time I have to set up the IP. So basically the project is on and running. I don't want us to be stuck here. The project is already on and running and it's live. So what I'll do is I'll just explain to you from the Git documentation. So let me go over to GitHub. Let me go over to GitHub and explain it to you from there. So that we don't get stuck here, because this is we're not really going to do any much testing. So here it's here on my GitHub, and from here, basically in the index.js, I've explained that. Then here we have controllers, middleware, models, routes, utils, and validations. So what I want to show today is basically if you have a site up and running, just any regular site up and running, how do you deploy it? So we want to start by looking at Heroku. So Heroku is that point where we're going to deploy it. And if I go straight to heroku.com, it should lead to your basic login page. And here, if I was to sign out, so you just see what the interface looks like, it should lead to your basic login page. All right, so here's your basic login page. If you don't have an account, you need to sign up. I have one, so I'll just log in. And oh god, I don't know if my VPN is on. I don't know if my VPN is on. Can you guys hear me? First of all, let me confirm that. Can anybody hear me from there? You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I don't know why. Or page you're looking for. Let me see. I wouldn't have even signed up in the first place. Okay, So all right, great. Finally, okay. All right, so right now I'm on two-factor authentication, so I need to verify. I need to verify for this. So let me just punch that in on my authentication now. Okay, so 20 7. All right. All right, great. Okay, so here I have some basic demo applications here. Okay, so basic demo application. This is that one. This is that one I mentioned there, and okay, so this is that one I mentioned. This is that one I mentioned here, and basically what you see here is that app we want to test. So this is currently working. It's currently live. If I went to what's the name of the app? Delta, can't spell again. Delta job ng.heroku app.com. If I went to that, granted that DNS doesn't disturb me again. Yeah, so this is live. So that's why I was saying you shouldn't bother much about what was happening here, because honestly, I don't know what's wrong with MongoDB. I had to go and list. Do a whitelist before this worked, and here again. Okay, all right. So let's go into where we were before. So we were on Heroku, yeah. So basically, once you have signed up in Heroku, there's not much I'll do to anything. I want to delete this or start afresh. Okay, I want to delete this or start afresh. So you see, I wanted to just test this out because I noticed Heroku had a challenge. I had a challenge a couple of months ago, and in the process of that, GitHub made it difficult for people to launch directly from Heroku, so using GitHub. So it's likely a couple of things have changed, but I just want to see if things are still working. If they're not working, then fine. We'll see what's the new approach. So here, I just want to do KodeCamp, and let me just call it job listing, since it's a job listing. KodeCamp job listing. And what is okay? So here, what you have here is just about a region. Okay, so choose between where it could be, where the server could be. Okay, so you have United States, Europe, and most times just choose US. There's not much of a difference, except you have like a very heavy application that has so much of connections and responsibilities. Then you could then consider all those things before a very basic application. No, all right. So there are different ways in which you can connect your application. So the last time I had to use command line, the Heroku Git command line, and I just hope I don't have to do that today, because, man, honestly, I haven't spent enough time setting up the system. So it's going to be a whole lot of work if that was the case. So here, we just use GitHub. So when you use GitHub, you normally see a point where you can connect, okay? You normally see a point where you can connect to GitHub. So I'm already signed in on my browser. So if I did that, all I would need to do is just to click and to lead me to GitHub, normal authentication process, you're back to this page. But here I'm already signed in on my browser, and that's why this is easy to link up. So here, if you click the search, you'll be able to check for the things you have, the applications you have in your repo that you want to use. So the one we want to use is the job listing app. Let me just type the name. So let me just see if I can fetch that out. Job listing, backend, front-end listing. Okay, so let me just use this one. All right, so let me just use this one. All right, so once you've done that, there are two places that I have here. So one you have here CI, that's for continuous integration, and then you have this to enable automatic deployment. So this is CD. So when you hear CI CD, you're talking about continuous integration, continuous deployment. So basically, what that means is when you push your code to GitHub, for example, as the code comes into GitHub, do you want it to automatically update on your server, or do you want it to be manually updated on your server? There are pros and cons to that, okay? There are pros and cons to that. A pro to that is that it saves you the stress of having to, manually come in here every time someone pushes reasonable changes to the main branch. Okay, here you can choose what branch you want it to be tagged on. Right now, I have only one branch on that project, but if I was to create another branch on the project, for example, let me create a new branch. Let me create a new branch on the project, for example. It's taking so long. So if I was to create a new branch now, I could set it to track either of the branches. So for example, if you have a deployment branch, a main branch like this, for what you use to deploy, and then you have maybe, for example, a development branch. Let me just call this develop. Okay, so let me just call it development. All right. So if, for example, now you create a development branch, and this is up to date with all of this, and is this private? Okay, right. So here in this where's Heroku? So here in this place here, I could choose to make it whatever it is I want to deploy here for a test purpose. I could choose to have different branches. Okay, so I could choose to say, okay, yes, I want this to sorry. Oh god, I didn't plan to go that far. Let me see what I was doing. I didn't track the branch here. This. Okay. I didn't even choose a branch there. Let me just refresh this and see if it stops. Okay. Well, it has gone ahead without me. I didn't even get to choose the branch I wanted. So let me just type this out. Let me just type this out. Come on, so it's supposed to show a search. Okay, all right. This is supposed to show a search of what I want. So what I'll just do is I'll disconnect and I'll reconnect again. So I want to disconnect the repository, then I'll connect again. Okay, so yeah. I also want to show you what I was talking about, so you get to see what I mean. All right, so drop this thing back in. All right, okay. All right, so you could choose what branch you want. So you can see now the development branch is here. So you could choose if you want to deploy the main or development branch. So for the main, you could say this will be your live, and then there you do all your setup, your DNS and everything you need to set up. And then for deployment, you could just make this the endpoint that's available for testing purposes or for the initial, like testing purposes, and you could have different setups. So I'm going to show you the setup soon, but let's just have this on main for now. Then here you can enable automatic deploys. So at this, what's going to happen is once you push an update, the update will be automatically sent to the system, and it will begin to do the build process, which we will see soon. So what this will do is every time there are updates, you don't need to come back to make this. It will just automatically do. But the challenge is if you push, for example, an update, and that update is maybe like has bugs, has errors in it, has maybe like a major error that makes the whole application crash, then it means the app that is live, okay, the app that is live will crash. That service will be down. So that's a con. So it means that you want to make sure that all your changes that have not yet passed through, all those changes that you are still in the testing phase are on a different branch, which is the development branch. The only changes that have successfully passed through different form of testing is not just your own unit test. What we've been doing is called unit test. You also have, like testers who are going to do all manner of different tests, penetration tests, load tests, and all that. Now, when it's passed through that and it's been successfully approved, then you could then, push those changes from development to the main branch and, take note of the version number. So those are some things. So if you are dealing with the main branch, be careful with what you push to the main branch because your live application could crash. And if you are working in any company, don't push the main branch. Okay? You have no business with the main branch until you become like a senior dev. You have no business with the main branch. And even as a senior dev, you might not be the one in charge of the main branch. There might be someone else, maybe even the network engineer who's in charge of deployments and all that. And so yeah, let's go. So I could click this to deploy the branch, and if I click this to deploy that branch, I expect that it's going to do some build. So here, these are the normal things you have when you do npm run dev, but this time it's npm run build. So this is going to build like an application. This is building the application here, and then it's going to install all those dependencies. So all your npm install, all of that is going to happen here. Now, if we were to move just yet to this, if we were to move here just yet to this point, you're going to most likely have an application error. And I'm going to explain why. When we were in our application, we had environment variables, and these environment variables were not exposed in the application. So remember when we pushed to GitHub, here you will not see the .env file. So the .env file is not here, okay, because it's an environment variable. Because you don't want somebody, like for instance, now if you were to have access, even though this is private, someone could later on have some way to access this repo. Okay, so even though this is private, you don't want to plug in things like your secure keys, your token, and all those different things and all that. So here, you want to take out the .env. So most times, git ignore, you will not have you ignore the environment variables. So you want to then go over to your deployment and manually put that in. So here you have the overview, you have resources, deploy, which we are in, metrics, activity, access, and settings. So in settings page, you want to go and include the configs. So here, as you saw there, you see this option here. It says review configs. So here you can see things about information, the size of the slug, how much MB it's using, okay, how much MB it's using. You see you have 500 MB available, so you cannot expect to be storing videos and images on the server. That's why we have things like Cloudinary as a cloud storage for all those other purposes, okay? Because whatever file it is that you save here, bear in mind that whatever file you save on your server is automatically going to be increasing the size here. So that's why we mentioned you guys need to learn Cloudinary as a means of intercepting and saving things like images and videos on the cloud rather than having them here on your application. So let's continue. So here, config. So we want to configure. So our .env variables, we'll just be picking them from here, from the .env file. We'll pick them from here and we'll plug them in. So here in this application, I have included Cloudinary. It's an old application, so I just use for demo purposes. So I don't mind exposing the keys here because come on, it's just a demo work, so I don't mind exposing the keys here. So I could take them down anytime. This is not like crypto where you're not going to see anything. You have no business seeing any of my keys or stuff like that. So let's plug in these keys, and if we plug in the keys, it's likely the application still may not run. So we will then need to do an npm run build and an update. Okay, and an update. So I'm just trying mentioned to you some of the possible challenges that you may face in deploying. Sometimes you've deployed, everything is fine, it's working on your local computer, but by the time you go over to the application and you deploy it, you put in all the variables, it still may not work. So sometimes those things happen. It depends on how the system itself was set up. That's the Heroku. It could have its own challenges, and it might not be clear exactly how to get out of that. So I'm just mentioning some of the possible challenges you may face, and just take it as a normal aspect of the development. The good thing is you have Stack Overflow, where you can ask so many questions and you could see your answers, and in some cases you might not need to ask a question, somebody else already asked it, so you just need to just go there, copy it, and do a search for what question you want, and you likely see someone has already answered that question before. So yeah, so this should be the last bit of thing we need to add here. And okay, so this should be the last bit of thing we need to add here. So I'm adding this. Is there any other things? No other thing for here. So adding this here, there are things you want to do. You could decide to restart all dynos, run console, refresh. Okay, so let me close this. Let me close this. Where was I? Okay, I think I went out of that page. Shift T, and yeah. Okay, so all right, so let me go back to deploy, see what's going on there. All right, so I want to run the branch again. All right. So you could decide to view the build logs so that you see what's happening. Okay, you can decide to see the build logs so you see what's happening while it's ongoing. So you could do that. So build finished, and here this is the endpoint. Okay, so it says the endpoint is here, so you can click open application, and if you do that, great. So the application is open. So we have the job listing app open and the different endpoints that are available. So it's that simple, but it's that simple. But sometimes you may face like a challenge, and to be very honest, some of the errors that come with these development channels like Heroku, when you get the error code and you search the error code, it might not give you an exact clear no response. Okay, like this is what is the issue, do this. The solutions you may be seeing from there may be very vague, so just make good use to go ahead and use your Stack Overflow as a means of helping you out through all that. So yeah. All right. So let's go over to documentation. So right now this is available. Okay, so this is available. This is live, as you can see. So most times I usually have like a basic home page, a home page. If I was to refresh this now, you see this should be up. Okay, so this is up now. So most times I usually like to leave this basic homepage as a test, so just so when you hit the endpoint, you know this is live and this is available. So let's go over to Postman documentation. So I'm just going to copy this URL, and I can't remember all the endpoints that are available, but I just want to show you what documentation could be like from the start. So this is Postman. Can you confirm you can see my Postman screen? You can see the screen, right?
Yes.
All right, great. Okay, so this is Postman. So basically, in Postman, you have your regular endpoints to test, and we used to do localhost, maybe for 3,000, which is not up now because I don't know why the DNS is preventing this point from going. So just give me a second, please. Give me a second, please. All right, I'm back. All right, so like I was saying, I wouldn't know why a DNS is preventing localhost from doing, but at least thank God today we don't have so much of testing to do with live code. So we're already hosted on the platform, and as you can see here, we have this information here. So basically, when you're talking about documentation is pretty much simple. Whether you're using .NET and you're doing your documentation with Swagger UI, or you're doing it with Postman, which is more preferable to me. I don't know why people use Swagger, but let's leave that aside. Now, when you've tested an endpoint, for example, and it's successful, some of the things you want to make available, like the things you use, you want to make available to them. So like here now, I've tested this point is working. So with this here, I could click on this drop down and say save as. Okay, so if I click on save as, you see here I have a list of documentations. I have a list of documentations that I've used on this particular user. Okay, on this particular user. So I could decide to add more. You could decide to add more. Let me add a new collection. So I'll just call this let's say KD, or let me just say KodeCamp. So what I'm talking about. So I'm going to create this, and here in KodeCamp, I could just call this test route. Okay, so I just say test homepage or test homepage. Okay, so that's simple. And after I've done that, this test homepage will always lead to this point here. So let me bring this out so we can see. So this here, you see here, I then have this information test homepage available here. So all I need to do here, I could decide to save the response as an example. So if I save this response as an example, you then see this here. So this will be somewhat available to anybody in the documentation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to right click and show you what the documentation will look like some way. So here you see here this is documentation here. It shows KodeCamp, which is the name. I could change it to capital letter or leave it like this. Then you see here the name I saved as that title, the test homepage. This is here. Then it shows you here the endpoints that you need to access and some basic information. So for those who use Core, I don't use Core, it just shows you basic implementation. If you were to use Core to do the test, how you do that. And that example I gave here is what is showing here. So this example is what is showing here. So if I take this example out, you see something like this. You will just see the endpoint and nothing to show for it. So you then have to start specifying information. So most times I always encourage people to put, save an example of the response. So one, it would give a clearer picture of what you have done, what example to test with. And then in the documentation, depending on how you do your implementation, if you are using Dart, for example, maybe it's a mobile, like a mobile site now. For those who are going to be working with the mobile guys, if they're using Dart or Flutter, which is somewhat like that, or if you are using maybe JavaScript, you're using a fetch to like consume the API. This gives like somewhat like an example for those who will be using maybe things like Axios. I think it's Axios here. Yeah, NodeJS Axios. So this is Axios. So Axios looks like this. So you say, yeah, you import Axios, you do this. So this gives, the front end developer, like some basic example with which to work in, basic example with which to work in testing your documentation. So this is a good way to work. Then this is a post request. We're already familiar with Postman and all that. So the next is I think one endpoint I have here is to get all the jobs that are in the database. So I'm just going to go over to post again that and /jobs, and we should Let me see. I don't even know. Let me check that this is still up. This okay. Let me see what it's saying. What is the response in the console? What's the error? Let me check in the browser. I'm suspecting that Mongo has started again. So let me check what's going on. Okay, so I'm suspecting MongoDB is having an issue since it's showing it's failing here. So I want to check with other applications I have already deployed to be sure that it's a MongoDB issue and not on my end. So let me just check for example. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure I have. Can I just use this one? Let me use this one since this one already has documentation and explanation there. So let me check if this is still running. Okay, so this should still be running. The beauty of using Heroku is that Heroku allows you to have a maximum of about 5 free what do you call it, test or demo sites. So if you have that up, okay, so if you have that up, you can easily have your demos. Okay, great. So that's working. So I don't know what's wrong with that, but that's working. All right, so so this is for example, I'm using a different URL here, so I don't know what's wrong with that, but I don't want us to go through the stress of resolving that. So this is a site that is working, and here now this is a GET request. So this now, as I have confirmed that this is successful, I could decide to save. Okay, so click save. Okay, so I click save as. And after clicking save as, I choose where I want it to be. So I choose where I want to be in KodeCamp, save, and then that's that. But I noticed also I didn't save the name properly. So here we have test homepage, but I want it not to be that. I want it to be like get all jobs. Okay, so it's easy for whoever it is to okay, or get all jobs or get job list, whatever it is. So this works. Then I could also save an example. So if I go over to the documentation again, you will see that the documentation has been updated with this. Okay, so let me just switch over to Core so it doesn't use so much space. So the documentation has been updated. So here we see get all jobs. We see the endpoints to reach. You see the manner. It's a get request. You see the manner of information, example of information that comes out, and other things that are related to that. So from here, there are other things you can begin to do. So you could begin to write, for example, like detailed documentation of what you want how you want to help the user. So right now, I don't want to bore us or spend so much of our time on that. So I'm just going to go over to another demo. I want to go over to a demo documentation I have. Okay, so I want to go over to a demo documentation I have, which should be able to help. Okay, so yeah. All right, so let me look at this demo documentation if it's still up. All right, so this is up. So here, for example, you will see here like this demo documentation. So it says you have for employers of labor to create accounts and advertise jobs. So I'm going to show you up to this point, but I just want to show you like the details of information that we could have here. So here you can see the endpoints here, and you can see the example, but we haven't gotten up to this point. So let me just go back to Postman and open one here. So let me see. Yes, all right, this is it. Okay, so this is it here. This is the part that is on Postman for you to work on. What I was showing you before was the part that you would see as the developer or the person writing the documentation. So here, for example, I don't think I wrote much information here. I don't think I wrote much information here, but as you can see here, you see like these are examples. Okay, so these are examples. You see the points here, and let me check for something else. I don't think I put much documentation here. do I have? Let me use this. Okay, I have examples. Let me see if I have let me see if I have this here. Okay. Most times when you're doing like a test work, if it's not something you're going to give to a client, you most times would rush. Most times you rush and you won't even spend time doing documentation. So that's why on the barest minimum, you want to make sure, okay, yeah, this is what I'm talking about here. So here it says routes to begin user sign up, fields are required. Users will be sent a link to verify provided email via this route. So these are additional information that you want to add along. So you can see here, you can edit. So you can add additional information, and there are like different naming conventions or like ways you can do that. You can do bullet points, for example. If you want, you can use special characters to, I don't know if you noticed that, but what I did was I did like hash. So if I do one hash and space, for example, it increases the size. Hash increases the size. So the size could keep getting longer if I keep doing hash before that. Okay, so until it gets to the largest. So yeah. So like that's an example. Okay, so that's an example of that. You could also do it manually like this. Okay, you could also do it manually like this, like increasing the text size from heading 1 to heading 6, just like you have in your HTML. Heading 1 will be the largest, and heading 6 will be the smallest, but in bold format. So you can do that like in a way of titling your work. So let me just cancel. I don't want an update. So you can do that in a way of doing your work. So here it says, so what's the purpose of this route? Unverified users should be redirected to check provided email for verification link. Login, verified email when user clicks. So you want to give a better description to the front-end person. So you don't always have to, you can give your documentation, and somebody who does a good documentation, people will not need to call you or ask you questions. Like most of the time when I give documentations, they don't need to get back to me, because most of the things they want to do is clear from the documentations. They've seen an example, they've seen the result, they've seen explanations, how it should behave. So it's only in rare cases that someone is asking, maybe the person noticed a behavior and the person was not clear on how he should respond. All right, so the documentation will save you the stress of having your front-end team keep, like calling you now and then, and it's also make your work look very professional. So let's go back to this documentation we were on. Let me close all the previous tabs. So after you have done your documentation, for example, this documentation can be published, and you don't need to, if you sign up on Postman. Okay, a lot of us use Postman, but we don't sign up. I like to sign in, so I have an account. So most of the works I have here, you notice this is not the system I was using before, but I'm signing in again. This information here are available for this demo routes. So just imagine now that I wasn't signed in, I would have to start looking. So just imagine now that I wasn't signed in, I would have to start looking for like an example to show you again. So basically, you want to have an account, and then for you to be able to publish the documentation, I believe you need to also have an account. So here on this side, you can publish, and when you publish, it leads you over to the browser, and you get to do some choosing of how you want the interface to look like. Okay, so hosting documentation, these are pretty straightforward concepts. They're not difficult. Okay, they're not difficult. Once you've been able to like make a code work fine, all is said and done, then documentation is pretty much very simple. And you don't need to wait until you are completely done with the API before you can host. That is one. Okay, so It's something that you can do progressively because we've seen the effect of CI/CD. It's something that we can do progressively. So if, for example, the front-end guys are saying, hey, we need endpoint. If you know the basic endpoints they need to start with, login, maybe like onboarding, the whole onboarding process, register, login, and see the home page information. If those 3 routes are ready, then you can go ahead and host on Heroku, for example, for them to be able to do their test until you're ready to maybe host somewhere else on a paid version, or maybe to even host on Heroku on a paid version. But for the preliminary version, you can do your maximum of 5 free sites. So once you have like 3 routes ready, you can host, and then as you update your GitHub, it's also going to update on your live deploy. So the same way also, as you have created those points and you have tested and you have gotten the URL, like for example, now you've gotten this URL, which you can then share with the team, the front-end team, that this is your live deploy, this is the link to it, this is how to access it. Then you can go ahead to also publish the documentation. So when you go to publish the documentation here, provided that you are signed in, you get to see this. So here you can just do basic, how you want it to be, but let's just go with the default for today. You spend your time later on choosing how you want it to be. So this is a preview of what we've done. You can see it's very scanty, not much information, but this is what we did today. And this is information we have. And though these are 2 different endpoints, that's just because we needed to get this out of the way. So this documentation is here. And you could, this is just to view this. Okay, so this is to view this. I could close this. If I'm okay with that, I click publish. And if I click publish, let me just go ahead and just do that. So if I click publish, you see here that there is an endpoint available. Okay, so I can also unpublish. I could also edit the settings in case I want to change things like color, position, and how that. I could also do that. So if I copy this, I could paste this now and say, okay, yes, now documentation is ready, front-end team, go ahead and look at documentation and get started with your work. So while this is there, let me add a new endpoint. So let me just add a new endpoint, and let me look for one job. Okay, so let me look for one job in particular with an ID and fetch that as okay. So look for a job with an ID, and let me use this route. Okay, so let me use this route to get this information. Copy this. I don't want to save changes to this, so let me just pick this up. All right, so let me just pick this up. So this should be a get request to get me one information, right? All right, great. So this gets me one information. So I want to save this one now as a new route and a new route entirely. So this is probably like get specific job, for example. Okay, or let's just say get job by ID, get job by ID. Okay, and yeah. So if I do this and I say get job by ID, and I save an example, for example, let me go over to documentation here. Okay, so going over the documentation here, you can see get job by ID has been updated, right? It wasn't there before. I just did this, and you can see now it's available in the documentation because I'm signed in on Heroku, and what I did here was automatically updated on this here. All right. So what I'm trying to, I want you to be free to be able to meet with targets. You need the front end ready. The front end needs some endpoints from you. You work on it. Your release is ready. You go ahead and roll it out, and then you go straight to the next stage. So that way, you are not the bottleneck. You're not the one delaying their progress, and nobody is coming back to say backend is the one delaying us. The endpoints are not ready and all that. So you can post to Heroku. One, you can also reach out to publish, your documentation and progressively update them as the routes are available. So that's one. So the last part I'm going to be talking about today is going to be the README. Okay, it's going to be the README file. So for that, I'll just go over to my GitHub page and show you an example of what a README file should look like. Okay, because apart from your documentations, your README file is apart from you having like a Postman documentation, you should have a README file that well spells out what you have done, and in case you want collaborative efforts, what should be done to collaborate with you. So here, this is a README file, and I'm just showing you the overview here, and we see what it looks like in VS Code. So here, this is a README file, readme.me, and basically it's always open and available at the bottom of every project. So here you can see some basic definitions, and here, okay, so this API, shorten, modules we use, dependencies, features, folder structure, config, public source, controllers, and all that and everything. Then here, maybe like the native setup, what we use, NodeJS, MongoDB, Heroku, all those kind of things and information. You could easily go over to some other pages and see more beautiful setup of how this is done. So here you can see some added functionalities that are here. So yeah, so let's look at what it looks like in VS Code. So in VS Code, all those things that look pretty, basically, as you can see here, you have like a syntax. So for you to have those functionalities, like click functionalities, you need to wrap them in some of these things, like the square brackets. You want them to appear like this. Okay, the square bracket, this is what you want to show. Then this is the code that will be embedded in it. This is what you want to show. This is the code that will be embedded when you click that function. This is what you want to show, Joy. This is the code that will be embedded. So these are things that you can actually learn online. This is not something I want to teach you, but I just want to show you what you could do. Okay, what you could do for the purpose of collaborating with others, and this is that. Then here, you can also include things like icons. So you can use icons from your regular stash of emojis on your device. Okay, so you could use your regular emojis on your device as icons here. So yeah, so these are basically just regular emojis. Okay, so that's that, and I think that's that for today. So this is by way a wrap of our class. So I just wanted us to have like a complete wrap of our class. Know that we have all the necessary tools to which we can go about development and working on this project without any hitch. So I'll take questions. Okay, I'll take questions. If there are questions, raise your hand so I can call you and take questions. Any questions, please? Any questions, please? Okay. I want to take questions. Anyone? Any question? Okay. Abiola, though you came late for today's class, let's go. What's your question?
Okay. Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening.
Thank you for the lecture. I want to ask a question about the cloudinary you talk about in the environment variable. I was like, what's cloudinary?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, like I explained, I don't know at what point you joined the class, but I explained that when you upload a file, your file is most times uploaded to the server, and your database, MySQL, does not save pictures. Your database, MongoDB, does not save pictures. So basically, your file is going to be sitting on your host, your server, wherever it is hosted. And imagine now, it's just like when you save a picture on your computer, it becomes part of the bulk of load that's on your computer until your computer is overloaded and you have no space. The same way it is on your phone when you download a file and the file is resting on your phone. Anytime you want to access it, it's like WhatsApp. You will try to access a file on WhatsApp. The file has to be, for you to be able to see it, it needs to be downloaded. Okay. So at the point of doing that, your server becomes large and you pay for space, especially for like a server that you pay money for, you pay for space. So imagine now you have like thousands or hundreds of thousands of users or a million users, and each one of them is uploading maybe like some heavy files, PDFs, pictures, 10 MB, 20 MB pictures. Those people that have 50 megapixel phones and want to upload videos, it's going to be too large. So what you want to do is you want to set up a setup that we intercept what files that are going to be loaded to the system and save it on the cloud. So I use a package called Cloudinary, and that package is what I use for cloud storage of images, basically. Okay. There are others you can use for videos, there are others you can use for PDFs, but I use Cloudinary for images mostly. So that's just a package. You can search it up on npm.js, you see it there, and how to set it up, how to use it, you see there also. So that's Cloudinary. Any other question? Anybody, any other question?
Okay, sorry, I'm still asking. So if I use the Cloudinary now, at the point of for if I'm using something like mod, and if I'm using mod, is it the link that will be to the Cloudinary, or will it still be the database? I don't understand.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share you. I'm going to share with you a link that could help you out, because the use of Cloudinary is going to be, it's not something verbal. I need to like show you how to do setup and all those basic things. Then they're going to give you some keys, some random access keys and things like that. So the process is not like a process I could just explain over the phone. So what I'll do is I'll share on the group. I'll share on the group on Slack a link with which you can get basic information to help you set up Cloudinary. So that will be that. Any other question? Anybody else? Any other question? Okay. All right. Okay. So thanks everyone, and thanks for your patience. So that brings us to the end of today's class, and also brings us to the end of our Node.js intermediate classes. So I expect that by now each and every one of us should be part of a project team, and we should be looking towards reaching out to make sure that all that is necessary concerning the work that we need to do, we properly understand, we do our setup, make sure that we get all hands on deck. Okay, so if you're a member of a team and maybe you're 2, 3 or so in a team, try to reach out to everybody. Don't say this person is not active, this person has not been communicating. Before you say that, try to reach out to the person. Okay, try to reach out to the person, call the person and find out what's up, and why the person is not contributing to the project, or what's the hold up. Okay, so don't just say this person hasn't reached out. You should be the one also trying to make sure that everybody is connected and all hands are on deck. Then work together with other members of the team. Know that no man is an island, and in as much as you guys are solid backend developers, bear in mind that it's not all about backend. Okay, everybody has to play their part. So if the backend does their own part, but the front end don't understand your API well enough to implement them, then that's going to be a hold up, and whatever it is you've done good on the back end, you'll not be able to see it showcased in the application on the front end. So documentation is very important. That's the reason why I went through the stress of making sure that rather than just foregoing the class. I'm here to show you how easy it could be to set up documentation and to make it so fluid for the front-end guys to work with your API. So you'll be proud of seeing the functions you're implementing on the back end being reflected on the overall application. So dear friends, that is the end of today's class. Try to connect with me on LinkedIn. Try to connect with me on Twitter also. And, from time to time, we get to share our progresses and what we've done so far. And as much as possible, I would encourage you to also take a step to begin to learn more about the blockchain. It's massive, it's mind-blowing, and it's going to be a very dominant force. As a matter of fact, it's becoming it's becoming the next thing even in fintech space. Okay, it's becoming the next thing even in fintech space, and I'm saying it from a point of first-hand experience. Okay, so blockchain is becoming the next thing in fintech space. So you want to add to your knowledge of backend or front end some other form of next generation tech like the blockchain and Web 3.0. And I'll see you guys. So from me and from Chief Prosper, I don't think he's here on the call today, but on behalf of Prosper, I want to bid you guys a very good and wonderful time in the project. And okay, I think that's that from me. So see you guys and take care of yourselves.